Hello and welcome to Best Self Guide. I put together this manual for somebody who wants to get organized, to use their resources in the most efficient way. And it's not just about getting slimmer, getting more attractive, but also getting healthier and getting richer. We have these resources around us, but oftentimes we don't use them properly because we just don't know where to start. And I suggest today we start with step 1. In my book, 6-Step Guide, there are 6 big steps how you get yourself in order. And diet, exercise, strength training are not the first steps. Before you get to those things, you need to organize systems around you. You need to make sure you sleep well. And then, only then, once your kitchen is in order, once your closet is in order, when you do your budgeting on a daily basis, I would even say not budgeting, but expense tracking. Those are not the same things. Once all of those things are in order, then it's so much easier to stick to the routine and achieve results you want to achieve, because you need to be relying on those systems. Think about these kids that go to boarding school, especially those traditional English boarding schools. Aside from education and connections that these kids get for life, they get those amazing good habits instilled in them day in and day out when they are living in the boarding school that will carry them forward for the rest of their life. And therefore, I thought it would be nice to kind of introduce a similar system to my own life and see what happens. And I never really looked back. So today, day 1, step 1, week 1, however you want to call it. And this is not the major step, because in my book, the first step is called organizing your systems. But in order to organize your systems, you have to organize your kitchen, you have to declutter your closet, organize your finances, developing certain evening and morning routines, lots of stuff. So where do you start? You start with first step in organizing your systems, organizing your time. Yeah, organizing your time. But before you organize your time, you have to track it first. And today I would like to share with you my 10 wisdoms relating to time, and maybe you can find those wisdoms interesting, intriguing, and useful, because all of them you can embed into a practical day-to-day application. So let's start. The first wisdom, I realized that we all say that time is precious, but we waste it like we have so many tomorrows, like we have endless life, and there will always be years and years and years to come. And I like Brianna West's saying that don't assume you have so much time. Actually, you don't know. You may have we'll hope we have a lot of time, but what if we don't? Let's start doing things now, living our life now, and not procrastinate, and obviously not waste our time. I remember when I was working for CIBC Bank, I once was landing a very big account for the bank. It was just over $1 million Canadian dollars. And I had to travel to see a client, and that was about an hour drive from my bank. And the client lived in a direction where my home was and is in Milton. And when I claimed my 407 is the toll route here in southwestern Ontario. When I claimed my expense, it was $14, maybe $15, something silly. My customer service manager declined. She said, "You can't claim it because you live in this direction, so you have to redo your submission. You have to calculate what is the distance to your home and prorate it, so maybe $7 or $8. To say that I was flabbergasted is to say nothing, because it was wasting my time, it was wasting her time. Actually, she's paid by the bank to do these ridiculous things. And I I just returned it to her saying that I'm never using toll route when I go back home, which was true. Now, from the perspective of 10 years that I left my bank where I worked, I think it was a good lesson. It was showing that the organization, major Canadian bank, a CIBC bank, just for the reference, declining my claim for $14 so that I could redo it to give it for $12, I don't know, for $8. If major institution with billions of dollars in coffers doing this, what to say about me? Why wouldn't I be as stingy and as mindful about my time, about my money, about my emotional resources and everything? Now I see it as a really good lesson. And by the way, anytime after this episode when our branch manager would knock on my door and ask, oh, we need $2 for such and such retiring, or we need $5 for such and such going on vacation or on maternity leave. And of course, if it were people that were dear to me, that I had some relationship, I probably would take them out for lunch anyway, which would be more than $2. But when there were people that I didn't even speak to on a regular basis, I thought, you know what? If you don't have $12 to cover my toll expense so that I can bring you $1 million account, why are you asking me for disproportionately high amount of money? That was a good lesson. Thank you, CIBC, for that. So we do not value our time. We don't. And I suggest we start doing it right now. And one of the ways doing it is to start with your daily template where you literally write everything down. You watch Netflix, write it down. You just sit and chat with your friend on the phone, write it down. By the way, I think chatting with your friend on the phone is a very healthy activity and very mindful and mentally healthy thing to do. But write it down so that at least we know where every minute of your life is going. Number 2, time relativity. You probably heard that, especially older people say, gosh, where did all these years go? And I'm like these older people would say too, that I have no idea how am I 50 when I came to Canada when I was 23, and I kind of realized the time passed, but 27 years, that's the whole life. And sometimes we think it's crazy that the time runs faster. But there is nothing crazy about it, because if you think from a relativity point of view, 1 year when you're 20 is what, 10% of your conscious life? Let's say you're 20 and you kind of remember yourself very well from age maybe 8, maybe 10, when things start happening, friends, and first love, first drama, first everything. And 1 year represents 10% of this conscious life. By age 50, it's about 2% of your conscious life, or about 2%. By age 80, probably closer to 1%. And of course, because relatively it's less time from the perspective of today's you feel it like it went so much faster. That's why I would not dismiss this fact that yes, time does run faster, but we are getting wiser and we know what to do better, and let's talk about it. Number 3, before you plan your time, I suggest you track it, and the good resource I'm using is Legendary Planner. What I like about it is that it has the spread for every week, and on left side you have your days of the week, and on the right side you have a place to analyze your week, especially track your habits. I think that's the priceless thing about this journal. You have your habits. And what I like about Legendary Planner, they don't give you what habits to track, because a lot of journals, they say water, they say exercise. I really like the fact that you do yours, because you may want to track certain habits for first month, then another 30 days you just do the same thing but with different habits. And at the end of every month, it has the page to analyze what went well, what didn't go well. You can draw this circle of balance of your life. A pretty neat thing. I would not recommend to use it right away, maybe, because it doesn't have enough real estate on this page to track every hour of your life. That's why before you get into weekly planning, I would do something like this, maybe A5 size, maybe A4. I would have even prefer A4, and I would print 30 sheets. I would organize them in a binder with tabs from 1 to 31. And seriously, in this month that you are turning your life around, track every hour and write everything you eat, everything you listen to, everything you do, everything you spend. And you need more sheets than this to track this. All right, number 4, time runs faster. And the other reason why it runs faster, it kind of shrinks, is not only because it gets relatively small from our perception, but it also because our brain has an interesting ability to code and automatize a lot of processes. They're called engrams. And we do things on autopilot more and more. And sometimes we don't even, it feels like we don't live in this moment. How often you would see yourself driving from work and you have no idea how you made it, because you were in your own thoughts, you just do so many things automatically, and you didn't participate in this moment because it just was the engram that was working in lieu of your presence. Another good example is when we go on vacation, and boy, oh boy, when we are on vacation, we feel every moment because everything is different. We have to learn where the coffee maker is. We have to learn how to get to the beach, or we have to learn about the new European or Asian city we're visiting. We have to meet new people and sometimes new languages. Everything is new, and your brain is working on all its cylinders, and of course processing things and living and feeling much more in a more acute manner. When we get back home, everything is familiar and we do things on autopilot. We don't really live in this moment. So recognizing this fact that brain has this capacity to shrink time and kind of eliminate this living from us, we can do something to actually defeat this rule and create new routines, new ideas, new things that we do on a daily basis. And something that comes to mind is, okay, this is the 30 days. What can we do differently in those next 30 days that you haven't done before? For example, let's do 20 minutes of yoga every morning you wake up, before you even brush your teeth, before you look into your inbox, check your emails. Just roll this mat in the living room or in your bedroom and do 20-minute stretch, 15-minute stretch, and see how you would perceive time differently. It could be walking your dog in a different vicinity, maybe not on your side of your subdivision or where you live, maybe across the road. Maybe you can plan different hikes differently, different activities during your hikes. When Steven and I take hikes, we like to brew different coffee coffee with different flavors or different teas. And I always take my little miniature perfumes and try to find interesting natural settings where I can take pictures of my perfumes or my jewelry or something along those lines. And this creates a bit of new experience, a bit of a splash of color. And I remember this particular hike, this particular little trip, way better. At the same time, with those engrams, we can exploit it by embedding good habits. And especially in these 30 days when you will be mindfully tracking every minute of your life, let's think about good habits we want to embed and plan this on the daily planner. For example, 20 minutes yoga or 15 minutes yoga every morning, or trying to clean as we cook. Maybe it's something you don't do. I know my husband doesn't usually do it, so I always remind him that how about we clean as we cook, so that there is less to do and kitchen doesn't look disgusting after we prepared our dinner. Another example would be you plan your gym days, let's say Tuesday and Friday, and you don't ask yourself, do I want to go? Maybe I don't want to go. Or maybe I have more important things to do. And trust me, you will have more important things to do. But if you put this on your calendar and if you don't allow yourself to think much about it, next thing you know, you're already driving to the gym and maybe listening to a good podcast that you lined up in advance, by the way, or good audiobook, so you're not bored driving there. And this whole habit stacking is happening and things get done. The habit stacking is happening. So as we can brighten up our routine by doing things a bit differently, we can also exploit our engrams to do things on autopilot. And let's put, I don't know, 3 things that we want to do on autopilot. And suggestion number 1 would be getting up in the morning and do your yoga before you do anything else. I know with my own example, I will find 1,000 reasons not to do it. But now when I do it every day, I'm actually looking forward to my planks, to my stretches, because I do them way, way, way better than before. Another suggestion could be write down everything you spend into a special journal. I have this budget book, and mind you, I track our expenses in Excel spreadsheet. I also have some systems within banking browser. CIBC credit card is one of the best places. But I like the process of writing down when the bills are due, when expenses are happening, what went well, what didn't go well, and it gives the whole act of spending money extra meaning. And I rethink it over and over and over, and next time when I have to spend money, I'm spending it way more mindfully than I was I would have been without doing this. So that's another piece. And a good thing when you're watching some silly podcast or doing something chilling, I like to clean cashmere sweaters and just sitting in my office sometimes and have to watch some boring conference, and I think, oh gosh, what would I do? I just take a bunch of sweaters and I clean them so that the work is done. Not only the work is done, I'm also happier that this time wasn't wasted, that would have been wasted otherwise, and some actual work was done. Number 5, allow some discomfort. Don't run away from every single discomfort you may experience. It could be hunger, it could be chilliness, it could be boredom. Just allow it to happen. And when you are hungry, time passes more slowly. You are just so into feeling everything, thinking where would your meal come from. Allow yourself to be a little bit hungry. Allow yourself to be a little bit chilly or a little bit hot. In case of a hot yoga, by the way, that's a great activity that super healthy, and I did this for a while. I'm looking back to get doing it again. We are so conditioned in North America, especially where I live in Canada for most of my conscious life. We're so conditioned that pain is a no. Yes, pain is probably a no when you have Advil nearby. Why wouldn't you? But some discomfort is not pain. And usually some discomfort is good for us. A little bit of hunger is good for us. A little bit of chilliness, especially when you sleep, is really good for us. And boredom. Boredom is good because after this moment of boredom, your excitement will be so much more acute, so much more sparkling, so much more exciting, yes. And you would not experience excitement if your excitement is a never stopping activity. You're just constantly excited. What you can do with constant excitement, you can actually kill your neurons to the point that they won't feel anything. I read this amazing book by Robert Lustig, Hacking of the American Mind, where I clearly understood what I was doing for over 2 decades. I was constantly trying to excite myself because I didn't want to be bored. Actually, being a little bit bored is good. So don't run away from that. Actually capitalize on it, because the time in retrospective feels fuller, longer when you had some discomfort. Just imagine how slowly time goes when you are at your dentist, right? Or gynecologist, and you think, oh my God, I'm gonna die here. But then you feel every second of the time, and then you probably remember, oh, I went to my doctor last week, last month. Most of us don't remember what we did last week because, again, it's all on autopilot, which we spoke in a previous wisdom. And in this wisdom, I like to share with you that some discomfort is actually good for feeling the time. And when older people tell about their lives, usually they tell us stories that involved drama, divorce, losing a job, going through some hardships. Very few people talk about lovely vacation, nothing happened, nothing got lost, nobody got hurt, because we don't remember this. But what I see most people like to reminisce about is something that involved discomfort, ironically. And so next time you experience one, reframe your attitude to what I've just mentioned, that it's actually a good thing. You'll have some stories to tell when you grow older. Speaking of growing older and speaking of anxiety and feeling anxious, when you are anxious, also don't run away from it. Reframe your anxiety into some kind of curiosity. Let's say you have a very serious meeting or public speaking event, or you have to contribute to some project and you're anxious about it. Of course, that's a good thing to be anxious because you're alive, you feel alive. But don't only feel anxious, but try to be excited and curious about this particular event that gives you butterfly feeling in your stomach. Capitalize on it. And what I use, I have a little journal. It's like a sidekick journal. I have journals, and I have been journaling since I was 16, and it's kind of cool sometimes to read what I was writing. What was it? Oh my God, 34 years ago. It's insane. And if you have this anxiety, instead of just running around and being anxious and wanting to die, just have this something like this and write down what am I anxious about. Maybe I should be excited about it. And if you are having a difficult meeting with maybe challenging clients, instead of being in agony and shiver, think about what a privilege it is for you to be invited to this meeting. That means somebody needs your help, and that means that you're worth something. And if you're going to be fretting back like this, you would not be useful. So let's chill and let's be our best. We are professionals, or we are artists, or whoever we are, but chill. You'll be fine. And what helps me a lot is to have just a journal on my bedside where I write my thoughts. Journaling is always good. When you get your life in order and everything is happening on autopilot, all the good things are happening on autopilot and none of the bad things happening, and you switch from daily format to a weekly format where you don't have to track every single second. I would say still having a journal where you just pour your thoughts, maybe ideas, externalize your projects is always a good thing. Okay, the next one is number 7. Introduce an element of a game into your time tracking, money tracking, and planning. And few ideas I have is set up your yoga routine, but don't just set it up. Have a journal with your yoga days. What I did, I went through Boho Beautiful channel and I singled out about 30, actually not about, I think 40 episodes, and I named them day 1, day 2, day 3, and I named some of them as good for any day or really good stretch. But overall, I compartmentalize them by days. And as I wake up, and today is 16th of whatever the month, I just open my journal and it will have corresponding day, which is day 16, and I don't have to think which episode I want to do. Is it a good episode? Maybe it's a boring episode. Maybe it's too challenging. Maybe I'll be better off with another episode. I don't want to spend time and energy. You spend a lot of energy trying to choose something. I just open my day 16 and I do it. And I've noticed that in the past I would be flipping channels, and for 10 minutes I would do nothing. I would just get exhausted, frustrated, and then the phone rings and I think, damn it, I'm a loser. Now I don't want to think about it. I have my yoga journal. It took me quite some time to do the screenshot of my favorite. I picked most challenging postures, name it like this, and I have the hole puncher, and I just organized this book. But element of the game with this book is that when I open the day, and because I have it now for over a year, I'm so curious to read notes from last month, from 6 months ago, from last year, and I think, oh gosh, I couldn't do this cosmic egg, and now look at me, I can. Or sometimes, geez, I was able to do that bind and now I can't. What's going on? So that's the element of the game. Another element of the game in tracking your time is to check your weight every morning, right? I have this is my main tracking system where I have my months and my days. I'm now, again, I'll repeat this, I'm into weekly tracking because I don't need daily anymore. But a month ago I was in daily because I really needed to put myself through a ringer and see what I was doing wrong, and a lot of things a lot of things. I had to fix coffee. I was drinking way too much coffee. Wine and ciders. I was drinking way too much of this. Spontaneous shopping on eBay, on Etsy, just because I was bored and I didn't want to be bored. I wanted to be excited. And missing my classes at the gym because the weather is not good or something wasn't good. Eating too much carbs. And I had to nail all of these things. This is just a fraction of the bad things I had to deal with, and the daily template was my best friend. Now I'm back on track. I don't need it, so I'm just using my weekly. So the element of the game could be this monthly tracker where you would look at how your weight is going down, even 200 grams, or maybe sometimes it goes up, and you analyze, oh gosh, what did I eat yesterday? Oh yeah, that was a sandwich. Hello sandwich. Now I have more weight to deal with. But doing this on a daily basis is a bit of fun because it's not too grave of a slip, because it's just one day and you can quickly go back on track. Again, if it's one day, if it's the more days it is, the harder it is to get back. Another element of game, I track expenses, and I like to see how much money we spent in the last 4 weeks. And 2 months ago, when I was tracking our alcohol bill, I saw hundreds of dollars, seriously, hundreds of dollars in 1 month. And then as we stopped spending anything on alcohol and we stopped drinking completely, it was such a bad habit to buy wine so that you pour it in yourself without any consideration for your health or finances. And it was exciting to see, oh, in the last 4 weeks we spent now $300, and now $250, and now $140, and now it's zero. Now let's flip it to 3 months and see how this balance will decline. And makes me feel good. And it has the element of the game. Another element of the game, I put a lot of things I'm no longer using, I don't need anymore. I just want to free up my house, and I like selling them. And it's very exciting to see who wants my things, because usually what I think is not what people think. Sometimes I put something silly and it sells in one day, and sometimes I put something which I think should have a lot of people interested, doesn't sell at all. And the element of unpredictability by selling your, I don't want to call it junk, I don't think I have junk, but selling what you no longer need is a lot of fun, because you get all kinds of people asking all kinds of interesting questions. And when I equate how much I make per hour working with my main business and how much I make per hour selling Steven's old hat, of course you can compare those things, but the amount of dopamine I get by trying to sell something old from my closet is next to none. It's actually comparable, but it's a different kind of dopamine. And it's a good dopamine. It's much better than go and buy wine or buy new things and spend money on entertainment and spend. And more you spend, the more you need to spend, because these neurological cells are not as receptive anymore. So you need to give them more to feel less. So selling something on Facebook Marketplace, it's really cool. Number 8, think about power of compounding. It's really a good example when you use it on financial numbers. You put $50 every month for 30 days, you get, I don't know, $100,000. Wow. And what is $50? The power of compounding is huge. And then if you if you're on the opposite side of the balance sheet, when you have to borrow money and the power of compounding is working against you, you could see how one little thing can escalate to a huge interest costs. One day we were hiking with Steven, and he said, "Han, every time we go hiking, it's like putting $50 in the bank." And I liked this comparison so much that every time we hike or we cook super healthy meal or we clean our house from top to bottom or we nail new concept or finish new book, I put a little note that it's $50 in the bank. And it's the power of compounding that all these $50 that we have, those imaginary $50 for all those good things we do, they add up and they make me feel better and better. And again, having kind of something like this, a daily tracker or monthly tracker where you can put all these check marks in, I would say in a habit tracker, that's where it would work the best, is something that you can compare with saving money or earning money and putting them away. And the power of compounding is there for you, because I like this other saying from Brianna West: you are the average of what you do every day. So if you go hiking and you cook healthy meals and you do 20 minutes of yoga and you drink water and you don't drink alcohol and you're very moderate with coffee, one day would not make a difference, but the power of compounding is there. And this is where I'm leading to the overall thought of today, is that it will be very hard to do all this work, especially at the beginning, and not see any result. And you would think, God, I did this and this and that and sweated and went there and I don't see anything. You won't see result in the mirror, or for that matter in your bank account right away, because time has to pass, because all these $50 you put there, they have to accumulate to thousands of dollars, and it is a function of time. However you slice it, it is the function of time. And likewise, when you are on the top of your game, if you slip a day or two, it's not going to jeopardize your life, because it's just one day. You're not gonna say, oh, this was one bad day, so that's it. No, just in the same mathematical manner, it will be just one little ingredient in this long formula of you being good. So if you were not that good for a very long time, and one day or 2 days and 1 week won't give you results right away, and staying on track will be difficult. Therefore, when you have something that tracks your days and you write down all the meals you make, you write down everything you declutter, everything you maybe sell for extra cash, everything you said no to from impulsive shopping point of view, it will be easier to stick to the plan when you have something to hold on to, and you would flip the pages and you say, damn it, I did it. And I would suggest that take your own pictures. You may take picture of yourself, and it doesn't have to be always in the gym before and after like everybody else likes. Take a picture of you during the hike. Take a picture of you cooking. Take a picture of you dancing. Try to have the kaleidoscope of all these different images representing you, and that will enrich your brain with all these images that are not just in your memory but now in your planner. I found it super helpful, especially when you're just getting back, being new you, and you think, God, I did all this work, I went there, and I didn't eat anything, and I still see this, like really. But then when you have your friend and you look through the days where you were good and you did things and you read new books and you didn't spend money, you feel like you accomplished something. To make it easier in the first 30 days, when you have to develop those habits. And what are habits? You have to write those new neurological paths in your brain that things are happening automatically. And we are, guys, the creatures of bad habits, of our habits, and we're creatures of good habits. Let's not forget that too. But at the beginning, it's kind of hard. It has to be a bit more exciting. So what I'd like to suggest, get inexpensive course. I'm taking sketching on udemy.com right now, and I'm learning to to draw with my pencil. So every day I like to do a bit of drawing on my favorite perfume. So I have my perfume book and I'm drawing there. Apparently it's really good for your mental health, it's good for your motor skills, for your imagination, and it's fun. You can think of what always interested you, and it doesn't have to be something useful about computer coding or managerial skills or public speaking skills. No, it can be something as Italian language. You remember this famous movie Eat, Love, Pray? And she just decided to do something not as practical, just for yourself. And for me, sketching is just like that. You can also learn a little bit of poetry while maybe you're cooking or while you're cleaning, and just have a plan to learn just a little bit, maybe 4-liners every day. And it also gets into this kaleidoscope of new experiences, also enriching this whole journey for you, this activity. All right, and number 10, as you will be going through the 30 days and writing everything and doing a lot of work, what helped me a few times is to learn about music. I did the list of country singers of all times, and the list was maybe about 60 of them. And I knew some, of course, but I didn't know a lot of country singers that the list gave me. And what I did in my 30-day program, I was exploring one singer at the time. Sometimes it would be one singer in one day. Sometimes somebody like Joni Mitchell deserves more days to go through her albums. And what I was trying to pick one song per day that really was new, unusual, and would resonate with my new identity. And you can imagine in 30 days you'll have an amazing playlist. I'm not saying it will have to have 30 songs, but it can be something that you will carry forward with you for many years to come, that will remind you about this experience. That's the whole point, that you are putting yourself within the convenience of your home, which is kind of hard to make it exciting because you're used to your home, but you can try to make it a bit different by introducing new activities, by tracking every time everything you do. And I showed you a few ideas. I will recap them in a second. And doing it with music or perfumes, it's just with perfumes that's more expensive. But if you have advent calendar with some different scents, maybe you can also explore this. But music, I find it a really inexpensive way to kind of encapsulate your feelings, your experiences, and have this playlist always to remind you that you can be good, you can be beautiful, you can be on the top of your game. Okay, so to wrap up all the tools that I'm using to track my time and plan my time are those. Number one is the daily planner, this big sheet, one per day, where you track every single hour of your day. Once you nail it, then you can move on to a weekly planner, and I really like Legendary planner for its habit tracker option and reflect on your monthly analysis. Absolutely terrific tool. Next, number 3 is create a nice some kind of very ethnical, authentic looking journal to track your yoga days and write down your perception from the exercises you do. The number 4 is the budget, where you write down all the expenses and organize everything financial. The other thing that you may consider is academic planner. I have 3 hours every day that I dedicate to French, English, sometimes history, and I like to have academic planner just like what I had when I was in secondary school and high school, where you write down your subjects, your homework, what you went through, and it's pretty sweet. So I have a separate book to track my studies. And journal, where you would like to externalize your anxieties, thoughts, ideas, and not in any particular structured way, just pour everything on the pages. So you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tools to track your precious time. I wish you a happy time tracking and happy time planning, and I'll see you in a day 2. Bye for now.